hier après-midi, nous savons que la conférence a été censurée. Alors il faut dire que chaque fois qu'on parle de la Palestine, hein, nous sommes censurés partout. Hein. Nous sommes censurés à la télé, nous sommes censurés dans les facs, nous sommes censurés. Voilà, la Palestine, c'est le problème des pestiférés. Mais nous, on est là et la conférence va se passer dehors. Les intervenants vont être présents et on vous invite tous à venir assister à cette conférence pour une seule chose, pour dire que nous ne sommes pas d'accord, que normalement cette conférence qui devait se passer dans les locaux de votre fac, on se retrouve tous dehors. Alors, être là avec nous et surtout honorer les intervenants qui vont venir tout à l'heure, hein, un Palestinien qui vient de Palestine, un Africain du Sud qui vient d'Afrique du Sud, spécialement pour vous parler du boycott. Hein. Alors BDS c'est quoi? BDS c'est boycott des investissements sanctions, hein, c'est une organisation internationale fondée par un Palestinien et nous sommes un mouvement totalement pacifique. Voilà, ça veut dire que nous faisons le boycott culturel, nous faisons le boycott alimentaire pour que Israël enfin, un jour, respecte les droits de l'homme des Palestiniens.
C'est sa ville. Je vis la rue. C'est un bâtiment de l'administration. Oui,
mais c'est nous on est là. C'était pas la peine de le faire ensemble.
Non, on s'énerve pas.
C'était pas la peine de le faire ensemble.
On s'énerve pas.
Il fallait être simplement dire, messieurs, c'est interdit, enlevez votre panneau. L'espèce de
Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël!
boycott Israël. Boycott Israël.
Frère, qu'est-ce que vous faites là? Qu'est-ce que vous faites là? Attends, oui. Qu'est-ce que vous faites là?
Je suis le responsable.
Le responsable de quoi?
Chacun fait son travail.
Non, vous ne faites pas votre travail. Vous nous interdisez d'informer les gens. C'est ça que vous faites.
N'agressez pas.
Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël!
C'est honteux.
Oui.
C'est honteux cette
Oui,
censure.
c'est une censure honteuse de votre part, honteuse dans le pays soi-disant de la liberté d'expression. Hein, c'est ça votre liberté d'expression. La liberté d'expression, elle est toujours pour les mêmes. Hein. Nous sommes là pour représenter les Palestiniens. Nous sommes là pour dénoncer les assassinats, les vols de la terre, hein, les assassinats d'enfants. Voilà, ça fait 70 ans que ça dure.
That I've explained to the organizer that and very precisely, that some elements of the the agreement that they have to fulfill. Sorry for my English. Were not correctly and honestly written.
Wait. The organization No, 1 second. First of all, I'm not in a position to make a judgment call on whether the organization acted honestly or not. I'm just.
So do I.
No. If you give me a chance to respond to what you're saying, and of course the fact you have made a judgment and you have indicated that they acted dishonestly, and so, but you may say that in your judgment they did not act correctly procedurally.
Okay.
But I'm not quite sure if it is correct of you to impugn dishonesty on the part of the organizers.
It's not the place to have this discussion. I've sent a message to Ivar Ekland, who knows me quite well. So I will stop the discussion for today. I'm sad for you, but
You are sad. Oui, Monsieur Gourdel, on en a parlé tout à l'heure.
My name is Pascal
On en a parlé tout à l'heure. Est-ce que vous recherchez, ce que vous évitiez, c'était les débordements, il n'y en aura pas. Donc,
Vous avez interdit deux choses, le meeting palestinien en octobre et ce meeting palestinien ce soir. C'est pas pour des questions
of mathematics, so this is why I know very well Varetan.
Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël!
Gourdel.
Professor Gourdel, you do know that more than 250 academics from different parts of the world have signed a letter to your university today, and three South African cabinet ministers, including our Minister of Higher Education, have absolutely, we know that the general, the position, I understand the position that you are articulating, that certain technical formalities and so on were not adhered to. That is your position. That is your position. I understand it, and I accept the bona fides of that position. But at the same time, I do want to use this opportunity to tell you that we are aware that there has been, and I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to talk to you again, and that is why I want to tell you this now. And I'm not going to start an argument here. I do want to tell you that there have been allegations made, that objections have been made against my coming here on the basis of my being an anti-Semite, on the basis of my wanting to instigate violence. There is a large perception that the university is using technical rules as a way of actually dealing with these allegations. And so that is problematic, and I hope that that is not really the case. I hope that the university is truthful when it says that it was on the grounds of technical, not fulfilling requirements. But of course, technicalities aside, it's I mean, the kind of inflexibility, you know, that your university is displaying, it's not a very nice one.
As I told you, I'm sad, but I've taken my decision.
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël! Boycott Israël!
Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to everybody who have raised the call. A particular warm welcome to all the security gentlemen who are standing in front of me. Normally, security people are supposed to be bland and neutral and expressionless on their faces and not to display any anger or any happiness. This is a part of their responsibility and their duty, and I understand that. But the one little difficult thing that I have is normally the people that I speak in front of, they are pleasant, they smile, they're happy, and I enjoy, and then I speak at my best. And now I'm standing in front of a bunch of security people who look terribly serious, but I will try to not look at you when I speak. But I do not want security to think that I'm ignoring them, because when I speak to the entire French society, and unfortunately security is a necessary part of any society, and therefore they're also a part of French society. Comrades and friends, my name is Farid Esack. I come from South Africa. It's a little bit cold now, but if I had a moment, I would have opened my shirt and pulled out and showed you a nice little wound on my left arm. I had the great privilege, I have this enormous privilege of being part of a generation, that generation that participated in the last phase of the struggle to destroy apartheid. I was 13 years old. I was 13 years old when I was first arrested and detained by the security police who came to my school to come and get me and locked me up for a while. I have on my right arm a mark. Unfortunately, with age, the mark is getting thinner and thinner. But this mark I earned this mark on the beaches of South Africa at a time when the beaches were marked for white people and black people. And I insisted that all of God's people are entitled to all of God's beaches. And the security had to send the dogs to come and get me off the beach. I refused to get off the beach. And so I am, young as I look, a little bit older in reality. I am a veteran of that struggle against racism. Friends and comrades, many a time we are told you cannot compare Israel to apartheid. In some ways I agree with that. I have been to Israel more than 10 times, and every single veteran of our country's liberation struggle who had been to Israel had come back and said, you cannot compare Israel to South Africa. Apartheid in Israel is infinitely worse than what apartheid in Israel had ever been. Of course, friends, there are some differences. In apartheid South Africa, we never had collective punishment. The apartheid government never took revenge upon entire communities just because there was one suspected terrorist amongst them. In South Africa, the whites were benign. The whites always felt that they needed black people. They needed black people as workers. They needed black people as servants. They tried to hide these black people, but they needed black people. Never did the white people in South Africa ever desire a country that would be free of black people. And this is the most insidious, the most evil part of Israeli apartheid. The desire to engage in an ethnic cleansing, the desire to ensure the obliteration of an entire nation who had been there for more than 3,000 years. The whole idea of goodness, of entitlement, of belonging, running in the blood of people, that I am entitled to something because I'm white. I'm entitled to something because I'm black. I'm entitled because my mother was this. This is an anathema. This is racism. The idea that good or evil runs in the blood of people, this is racism. The idea that you are entitled because 3,000, 4,000 years ago, somebody in your mother's line of descent is entitled to, had been there, that you are now. This is racism. And so we must be clear about this, that our struggle is a struggle against all forms of racism. It is a struggle connected to the struggle of all the marginalized people of the world. And in the same way that we are entitled to speak about gender apartheid in many parts of the world, we are entitled to speak about Israeli apartheid in Israel. You cannot, friends, you cannot say that I am a male and you must respect my male identity, and then I interpret my identity as a male as being in a position of oppressing women. If you want to define your manhood and your manliness on the basis of oppressing a woman, then I say, to hell with your manliness. And so, if you want to define, if you insist on defining your Jewishness and you want to connect your Jewishness to an ideological entity, to a state, and if you want to connect, if you insist on connecting your Jewishness to a Zionist project, which must imply the subjugation of the Palestinian people, then I will say to hell with the way in which you want to define your Jewishness. And so we've had this project we've had this consistent project in the past to link Zionism to link Judaism to the Israeli state. This is like saying that manliness must always mean machoism. Manliness must always mean sexism. Manliness must always mean patriarchy. Manliness must always mean bullying and abusing women. No, there is another way to be a man without bullying women, without sexism, without patriarchy. So, in the same way that it is possible to be a man and to not be a chauvinist pig, in the same way that it is possible to be a man and to be opposed to patriarchy, it is possible to be a Jew and to be opposed to the dehumanization of the Palestinian people. But the fact that we recognize that there are really decent men in the struggle for gender justice, we recognize that there are many decent Jews in the struggle for Palestinian justice. Friends, let's be clear about this. The one is the Holocaust. The Holocaust, one of the deepest and saddest tragedies that ever was inflicted on humankind that happened in this continent. This is something that all of humankind must be deeply ashamed about. Human beings were capable of doing this to other human beings. Whether we are Germans or not, that's not the point. Whether we are Europeans or not, that's not the point. Whether we are the descendants of Nazis, it's not the point. We as human beings, Hannah Arendt speaks of the banality of evil. We as human beings were capable of doing that to other people, and for that all of us carry this deep shame and blemish. But the one is the Holocaust. What is an entirely different matter is the exploitation of the Holocaust to abuse another people. The one is, many people who are sexual abusers, they were abused before in their lives. This is a reality. People who are harmed and injured, violence often occurs because those violent people were damaged as children. Some things had gone wrong in their lives. That is why, if I may use impolite language, they are fucked up. But if I now know and see and witness that you are engaging in sexual abuse, don't come to me with the argument, yes, but I was abused before. And this is the crime of Zionism. And the second crime is that the victims today of Zionism aren't the ones who inflicted this crime on the Jews of the world. It is Europe and Europeans who inflicted this crime on the Jews. Why should the Palestinians be paying the price for the crimes that Europe committed against the Jews? So I acknowledge the humanity of anybody that is abused gets broken. And there is a brokenness, friends, and our hearts go out to it. There is a brokenness amongst many, many Jews. But there's a damagedness. Of course, I spoke about how this is being exploited. But people, when we elevate the damage done to one nation over the damages done to other people. That is also a kind of racism. What about Rwanda? What about the genocide of African slavery that were imported and taken to other parts of the world? So, you know, we are often asked, why do we single out Israel? Why pick on Israel? What about this? What about that? Why not? And they've made this synonymous with, no, don't worry, these are friends of ours. They're on their way to somewhere else. They're on their way to put out some other fires elsewhere. We are often asked, why do you single out Israel? Is this not racism itself? I don't know. I can't speak for others. I haven't singled out Israel. I have worked in my life on gender justice. I've spent most of my life struggling against racial justice in South Africa. I'm working on environmental justice issues in South Africa. I work on justice for domestic workers. Israel is but one, and all of us know that the struggle against Israel is one part of larger lives of struggle that we have to create a more just world. But the reality is that there is only 24 hours in a day. And so, here we are in Europe. We are at a particular moment in French life. We are at a moment where French life, there are really many different Frances. People speak about French, but there are many different Frances, you know. You have the French of the establishment, you have the French of the ghettos, you have the French of the lower classes, but the reality is that the nature of this country is changing even as the system is trying to hold on to it. But it is heartbreaking that this is a country that I came to 25 years ago, and I walked the streets of this country with thousands of other people marching against apartheid. That evil runs in the blood of people. This is the idea that was at the heart of Nazism. The idea that evil runs in the blood of people. This is a pernicious idea. This is an idea that we must fight against. Similarly, is the idea that goodness runs in the blood of people. It is an evil idea. Let me conclude on this one note. You know, in apartheid South Africa, I always made this analogy. You have the black worker during the day. He is exploited by his boss during the day. But at night, he goes home and he abuses his wife. When I stand in solidarity with his wife at night, he cannot tell me, no, you can't support my wife. During the day, I was abused by my boss. And so, the Zionists cannot come to us and tell us, I'm abusing the Palestinians now, because during the day, I was abused by the Nazis. I'm sorry. At night, when you are abusing your wife, I'm expected to be in solidarity and support the struggle against the abuse of women. And during the day, I'm expected to be in solidarity against the exploitation of black people. Comrades and friends, many outsiders think that the struggle, the apartheid struggle, was a struggle of black people against white people. It never was. It was a struggle against racism. And so, our struggle is not a struggle against Jews. It's not a struggle of Goyim, of non-Jews against Jews. Our struggle is a struggle for the whole of humanity. And in the same way that the end of apartheid, in the same way that the end of apartheid meant the humanity of white people, when apartheid ended, we liberated white people. We liberated white people so that the best could come out of them, so that their racism can be destroyed, And so we in the struggle for justice for Palestine, we in the struggle for BDS, we are the people who are going to liberate the Jews from their racism. And so our struggle is a struggle to retain our own humanity. We cannot retain our humanity when we know that there is so much suffering in the world and remain silent. So in some ways we are in solidarity with the Palestinians, but in other ways we are really true to our own humanity. And finally, our struggle is for a non-racial, a non-sexist land, whatever you want to call it, regardless of whether you want to call it Israel or Palestine, what the people of that area decide to call it. I just want to say that I wish you freedom in your lifetime, in France, at your universities, and freedom in our lifetime for all the Palestinian people.
En fait, suite à la censure de l'événement qui devait avoir lieu à l'intérieur de l'Université Paris 1, on se retrouve devant l'université à faire intervenir Farid Esack, Varekland et Bilal Afendi dans la rue. Il y a un gros appareil policier qui est là, mais il y a aussi des petits groupes qui se promènent autour de nous, qui sont masqués, qui ont mis maintenant leurs cagoules, leurs gants et qui ont leur casque de moto dans les mains et on ne sait pas ce qu'ils ont dans leur sac et c'est très accueillant. Voilà.
Attends qu'il est star, il vient de monter des drapeaux, ça le background. Eh les gars, vite la roquette les gars! Vite la roquette les gars! Sioniste, fasciste, c'est vous les terroristes! 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 Fasciste, c'est vous les terroristes! Sioniste, fasciste, c'est vous les terroristes! Sioniste, fasciste, c'est vous les terroristes! Sioniste, fasciste, c'est vous les terroristes! Israël, casse-toi, la Palestine n'est pas à toi! 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 Israël, casse-toi, la Palestine n'est pas à
comme tu as pu le voir, on s'est encore affronté à une censure, hein, mais malgré tout on a démontré notre détermination. La conférence s'est passée devant la fac Paris 1. Ça n'enlève rien à notre lutte, ça n'enlève rien à notre combat.
Vive la Palestine!